Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, tonight we are going to talk about Fort Hood, Texas. Specialist Vanessa Guillen and what happens next. What should happen next, anyway. When this first happened, I had a couple of people reach out and ask me to do a video on it. I didn't, for reasons I'm about to explain. There are two phases to this, and the second phase might slow down the first phase. The main reason I didn't want to do it is that Army investigators are really good. We've talked about it before. Normal law enforcement runs closure rates from the teens to like 60%. Military investigators run them in the 90s. I wasn't worried about them not finding out what happened. They're just slow, but that's why their closure rates are so high. I want to say they did 300 interviews totaling like 10,000 hours or something. They're very methodical, and it's very tedious, so it takes a lot of time. And the one thing that would slow them down even more is political pressure. But the actual crime, and if you don't know what happened, a soldier at Fort Hood turned up missing, and then her body was found. And the story that goes along with it, the story itself merits an investigation, and that requires some political pressure. One of the key elements is that she wanted to report harassment but was afraid of retribution, so she didn't. That's part of the storyline. That shouldn't happen anymore. The U.S. military has made huge strides over the last 10 years in regards to that exact topic. If those policies weren't being followed at Fort Hood, if her command failed her, if her command knew and didn't act, if her command had a suspicion and didn't tell the investigators the second they showed up, hey, you need to be looking at this guy, we need to know. It may turn out that her command did not fail her, but we don't know. And this isn't the civilian world. We don't have to accept that as an answer. I don't know doesn't cut it. There's a thing called the Senate Armed Services Committee. They can launch an investigation into this, and they can find out exactly how one of our soldiers was left twisting in the wind. So that needs to happen. By the time y'all watch this, I will have tweeted out all of their Twitter handles and all of that stuff, and either in the description or the first pinned comment below, we'll have a link that has all of their names, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom in very small print, you will find a phone number. The good news is that we have strong allies on this committee, people that would be interested in finding out what happened. Elizabeth Warren, Tammy Duckworth, and as much as I drag him on Twitter constantly, I think Senator Tom Cotton would actually be very interested in this. So those would be the three that I reach out to if one of your senators isn't on the list. But it would not surprise me to find out that they've already decided to hold hearings and conduct an investigation. A little bit of public support for that may go a long way, though. So still contact them, tweet them, reach out to them on social media, call them, whatever. We can't let this story fade away because there are a lot of questions. And I waited, before making a video, I waited to find out what we could. I have more questions than I have answers. Not just about her command, but they're saying this occurred in an armory and nobody knew. That should be really unlikely. If that's the case, we have to assume that everything there is not secured. We need to know what went down here beyond just the bare bones of the actual crime. Because there are a lot of things that should have been in place that should have prevented this. Because the stories that we have to go on, they're not telling enough. They're not giving us a clear picture. and we need one. The U.S. military for years was moving ahead on this, and it seems like in the last 2 or 3 years that has gone to the wayside, and we need to know why. I don't want this story to fade away simply because the crime itself was solved, because that is only half of this story. We need congressional hearings on this. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.